The valiant Northern Alliance face off against the hordes of the Undead. JP here from Caffeinated Warlord. Hope you don't mind a little bit of fun to change up the intros, I think. I've been getting a bit samey, and so now I want to put in something a bit more flavorful, especially as that is the landing page for when someone's scrolling through, say, a bunch of videos and they start to autoplay. So something interesting should show up. So that's why I did that. Now, today's game is not for any particular reason. It was just that my regular sparring partner, or one of them, Mike Crossman from the Rules Committee for Kings of War, just likes to have a game every now and again, and he particularly wanted to do so because he had just upgraded his Northern Alliance army with a few more full Mantic units, because he did originally have like a whole heavily converted Age of Sigmar based like model range that was used to have his Northern Alliance, but with the refresh that the Northern Alliance received last year, he's steadily been adding to it with Mantic units. So he's got some half-elf berserkers, he's got the what are they called? Pack hunters, and so he wants to try them out against something. And so I brought my Undead for that purpose, because they're a pretty good solid something to throw some new units at. Now let's get into the armies. So, his Northern Alliance, let's see, there we go, consists of 3 pack hunters regiments, with the Tundra Fighters upgrade, so that they get vicious against things that are frozen, which there's plenty of situations where that can occur, especially with all the other entries in this army. Then we have the quintessential regiment of Snow Foxes that are a great use of chaff. They can get in the way, they're really hard to shoot because they're stealthy, and they just get around. Really annoying, because I've been going against a lot of them when my other sparring partner, one of them is Matt with his Varangur, he was using Snow Foxes all the time, my god. Then we have 2 hordes of snow trolls, which are just very solid trolls. They're just better. They're vicious. They have 1 better nerve. It's just there. I wish they weren't just so much better than my normal trolls that I'm used to in goblins. Then we have 2 Frostclaw Rider regiments with the Ice Bombs upgrade. So they're good little getting around and putting in some damage. And they add that frozen, so they're a good unit to have for that. Then we have a regiment of half-elf berserkers upgraded with the Talonar's House Guard. Now the Talonar's House Guard makes them really nasty. So these half-elf berserkers are a typical berserker unit. You know, I think they've got Thunderous Charge 1, 20 attacks. You know, they're pretty good. But Talonar's House Guard bumps up their nerve to crazy levels for a regiment and puts them up to the 25 attacks. And for anyone that's new to to Kings of War, they may not be aware that the 25 attacks used to be quite ubiquitous. There were a lot of infantry regiments that had some 25 attacks, your Reapers, your Soul Reaver infantry. But then in one of the more recent Clash of Kings, they were brought down a bit, because 25 attacks with crushing and things like that was thought to be a bit too nasty, because you could send in these units and just take them off. Whereas the half-elf berserkers, they're a once-off. You can only do this Talonar's House Guard once, and so this is a unique unit that you can get up to that level. But what's different to them, say, to the Soul Reaver infantry, is they're not defense 5, they're defense 3, so they're quite vulnerable, so they're hard to use, and he's trying to see if he can use them. And I really like the new models, the half-elf berserkers, so, you know, it's not good, because I have a quick trigger finger when it comes to purchasing models, and when I see cool models, I'm like, ooh. So no, not good. Anyway, back to the army. So we have a Thane with Talonar's Standard, which gives Rally 1, and a Snow Fox upgrade to make it have 1 more attack, so pretty good. So that's just a little hero. He doesn't have Inspiring though, that's always the confusing part. The Thane does not have Inspiring, but he does have Rally. Then we have 2 Snow Troll Primes, which are perfectly good sources of Inspiring to make up for the Thane, and they're very good large infantry heroes that can just add in some extra hurt and just get around the place and score as well. So all in all, they tick all the boxes. Then we have 2 Frostclaw Champions, which do a lot of what the Snow Troll Primes do, but, and it always is surprising, they have a range 3+ ranged attack. They have the Ice Bombs, just like the Frostclaw Riders, but they're range 3+. So, yeah, that's nasty. They get cover, they're hitting on 4+. It's still pretty dang good. So yeah, it's the Frostclaw Champions are sneaky amazing. And then they're definitely not a doozy if they get a nice little flank charge in there as well. But yeah, pretty nasty stuff, the Frostclaw champions. And yeah, first time I found out range 3+, I'm like, hey, hang on a minute. I thought it was just the Trident Realm guy that had range 3+. What's this? So I feel like, there's only one guy you can get with the range 3+ Trident in Trident Realms, and I thought that was so unique and special. And then it turns out, nah, there's these Frostclaw riders that can do it. And then finally we have Hrym, which is a very good way to end a list because he is very, very tough, very nasty, gets into just the thick of it and doesn't care. And he has a nice aura of frozen as well because that's the new thing that the ice giants have. So, oh no, that's ice elementals. Ignore that. Hrym doesn't have an aura of frozen, but he is very cool. So that's his 2,300 points. Mike always does these kind of mixed arms lists where the only thing that's really being spammed are infantry regiments of some kind, so pack hunters or something else like that. I mean, so it's a good variety list. There's no Frostclaw, not Frostclaw, the other one, Frostfang. There's no Frostfang, it's Frost something. There's no Frostfangs, no Huskarls, none of those kinds of things. So it's definitely leaning into some of the more fragile components, but it's got Snow Trolls, so it's still doing pretty good. It's got a nice solid core. So that's what he's bringing, his Northern Alliance. What about my Undead? Well, my Undead is just a riff on what we've seen previously. So we've got the 3 zombie regiments, we've got a troop of wraiths, 2 Soul Reaver infantry regiments, one with the Staying Stone, one with Chalice of Wrath, essentially to really minimize their ability to be wavered, because you want them chopping, you want them living. The zombie regiments are chaff. What kind of chaff? They're also unit strength. Wraiths are definitely chaff. Then I have a horde of werewolves, this time upgraded with the Brew of Strength, really just trying to turn up that power. And so we'll just see how they go. I've learned my lesson to not put them on the flanks and just try and get in the side, because that nearly never works, because either they're completely unopposed and then they're just not really getting in on the flank at all anyway, or someone sees that and then they just start putting down lots of stuff there. I don't know, it's just every time the werewolves, take a look at my last battle report with the ogres, my god, the werewolves just didn't have a good time. Now, one thing that everyone can agree is a good choice is a horde of wights. So I've got a horde of wights, 2 Revenant cavalry troops to help chaff those wights and get them into where I need to get them to, and as well as the rest of the army. And then we get into pretty much a full long list of different characters. So I've got a Revenant King with Surge, so I have something with Surge, so I can potentially Surge those wights if that situation comes up. I have 2 Necromancers, that's what I'm enjoying right now with the Undead. One with Bane Chant 2 and Mind Fog 2, so that's kind of 2 spells that they're never usually doing in the same time. Like, I don't ever feel like I'm trying to choose between them. And then I have a Necromancer with Heal 3, Weakness 2. Again, they're pretty good. Heal's like what I do early game to make up for any shooting, and then Weakness is something I do late game where I'm trying to minimize damage being done. Then I have an Undead Army Standard Bearer, and he's on an Undead Horse, so he's able to run around and keep up with the Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm, which is there later in the list, but yeah. He also has the Trickster's Wand to give him Hex 2 to deal with those spellcasters, but annoyingly the army I'm going against has no classic spellcasters. There's Hrym with his Icy Breath, which I do manage to stop once or twice, but like it's kind of like he's going to do an Icy Breath just because he can. He's like, oh yeah, might as well, I'm in range, I'll do an Icy Breath. Whereas, yeah, so the Trickster's one, but you don't want to just tailor your lists based on who you're fighting. And I didn't really know if he was going to bring in one of the Ice Queens or not, so it's better to be having a Trickster's Wand than wishing you had one. Then there's the Lycanus with the Blade of Slashing, so that's something fast that can go with the werewolves and help tip them over the edge, because you never know when 18 attacks is just never quite enough. But yeah, the Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm, he's got the Mace of Crushing, and that's actually a fantastic option that I wasn't really thinking about until Scott Marshall, who also has been playing lots of Undead, he went to Clash of Kings in Canberra with his Undead, and he showed me the Math Hammer, using the cool Math Hammer tool and companion, that the Mace of Crushing is the best item without just going straight for Brew of Sharpness, which would make, obviously the Revenant King hit on melee 3+. Because the Mace of Crushing just means that whatever hits will really almost completely wound. So 5 hits, 5 damage, bang. It's like fantastic. And the only thing that tips that above 5 is having melee 3+, so that you hit more times, right? Whereas everything else, giving him Elite, giving him Vicious, or giving him Strength. He doesn't need Brew of Strength, but all those things don't do nearly as much as a 5-point item, the Mace of Crushing. So Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm, if you're really wondering how you should kit him out, Go Mace of Crushing. Save your points. Don't use the Brew of Sharpness. Put it on something else, or don't use it at all. So that's my secret tip to you guys. All from the thanks of Scott Marshall, because I don't want to say that I came up with that idea at all. I was just encouraging him. I'm like, yeah, that's good. Because the Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm is actually very cheap for a dragon. And that's because he's merely 4+. And so you can try and make him more expensive, giving him the Brew of Sharpness, but then he's almost getting back to that vampire level, the vampire on Zombie Dragon. Whereas the Mace of Crushing keeps him very cheap, but still quite deadly. So that's pretty cool. So that's my army going against the Northern Alliance. So let's get to that table. So we can see right there, we have the line. It's Invade. Yes, yeah, so yeah, that's what that glowy line is. So we got Invade. And so you can see the nice table here set up. I'm gonna get the laser pointer to point out the different terrain features. So we have, going from left to right, this is a flat terrain right next to a nice obstacle. Then we have a impassable, the well. We have a whole forest here, nice big forest. A nice big hill, another impassable, this cottage over on his side, another forest and another hill, and then we have the obstacle jutting out from this hill, and then another impassable. We've got 3 blocking terrains on this map, which why not, you know, just change it up. But otherwise it's kind of, we've got some lanes, so, you know, just for people that might be new to thinking about battlefields, and I knew it took a while before I could actually look at a battlefield and really even start to think about why I might want to deploy anywhere or any particular way. You know, you can see that there's some lanes that are artificially created, so you've got these 2 blocking terrains. So this cottage and this tall building here create a lane in between them, and so this is where you might want to try and put the bulk of your forces, especially if you need to castle up and keep things together. And you can use this big piece of terrain here, this blocking terrain, to protect the flank as you move up, so you can kind of wheel in and come in like this, so that you can start to do this whole invade scenario and get across the line. And you can be safe with knowing that there's a forest here that will also protect some of your flank and put some stuff in that forest to prevent other things getting into it. So, you know, this is just, even then, I'm sure that's not a fantastic assessment of this battlefield, but, you know, these are the things that you slowly start thinking about. You start thinking about also where your units might end up, given the terrain and how that might affect their combat ability, or how they might affect their durability, because maybe you just want to plonk them in a terrain to just sit there and not die, because the enemy will be having some trouble trying to get into it. So yeah, these are all the things you think about. But yeah, let's get into the actual armies now that we know what the terrain is. And so I have done some pretty cool stuff with these indicators. So we've got Frostclaw Riders over there on the left, which you can see, so they're just the classic model. And he always likes to put them on ruins, the flying things, so that they're a bit higher up and he's got something to grab. He has on everything a thing to grab, apart from Hrim, who you just grab him. He's an action model, essentially. So yeah, we've got Frostclaw Rider, Frostclaw Champion over there on the left, and then we have the 2 Snow Trolls right together, right in the middle. So they're just gonna go stomping forward and start destroying things. Behind those Snow Trolls is the Thane, you just can't see him. Then there's Hrim with the Snow Foxes right in front. We also have a Snow Troll Prime between Hrim and the Snow Trolls, so there's plenty of inspiring over there, do not worry. Hrim's also inspiring. And then we have Pack Hunter, and Pack Hunter. So the 3 Pack Hunters are all there, ready to concentrate their bow fire on single targets. But they don't have steady aim, so they always go. A lot of the time they've got all kinds of negs, and so they don't do all that much all the time. Then we have another Snow Troll Prime. You can't really tell, but there he is behind the hill. Half-elf Berserkers are right there on the right, as well as the other Frostclaw Rider and Frostclaw Champion. He tends to put them together. So yeah, the whole army's got either side the Frostclaw Rider and Frostclaw Champion duo. So there's a pair on both sides. Yeah, and he was saying the half-elf Berserkers, he didn't know where to put them, because yeah, he's new to using these kinds of units, and especially the half-elf Berserkers. And they're not cheap because they've been upgraded. So yeah, we'll see how they go. Now, let's look at my army. So we have zombies all pointed out. So zombie, zombie, zombie. So I like to just put them on one side or the other, especially if I don't think I'll need them as the chaff in front of my army. And I don't like to put them in front of my army that often, because yeah, they're slow, they're speed 5, you can't march, because that's what undead do, they don't march. So they're shambling. So I had to, I like to put them at the side just to hold up any flanking maneuvers, such as those Frostclaw Riders. And so that's what they're doing there. Then here is my Undead Great Flying Worm, which is the model from Creature Caster. It's this big Angel of Decay, I think it's called. It's a pretty cool model and definitely worthy of being an Undead Great Flying Worm, which I got from Mike, actually. I think it was for his previous army. It was just a model he had, and he's just like, I don't need it, you want it? And I was like, yes, it's awesome. So I've got this really cool Undead Great Flying Worm miniature. Then there's the Army Standard Bearer, which is actually the miniature from Mantic, pretty cool. Got it in a crazy box. So Undead Army Standard Bearer, right there, is ready to zip over and give that Wild Charge D3 aura, because that's why he's really cool, to anything with skeleton, which includes the Undead Great Flying Worm. Then we have the 2 Revenant Cavalry out the front, acting as chaff. We have werewolves behind one, we have Soul Reaver Infantry behind another, and another Soul Reaver Infantry, and then the Wraiths with the Wights behind them, because Wraiths and Wights are just a match made in heaven. Then going into all the others, well, we got the Lycanus, which is being played by Throg today, because my Lycanus model has seemed to go on walkabout, and I really can't find it. And who knows when I'll find it, but for now, I'd made this list, I didn't want to change it, I wanted the Lycanus in there, but I'm gonna have to think of something else until I can find my model. It's a good Mantic model. Just don't know where it is. So there, that Throg is Lycanus, stolen from my goblins. Then there's the Revenant King with Surge. There's the Necromancer. That one has got heal and weakness. There's the other Necromancer over there, and that's the one with the Bane Chant and Mind Fog. And so yeah, that's the state of the battlefield. And so obviously I plan to move up and get over that hill, and then just start projecting threat and hopefully pin him in on his side and get over and maintain my unit strength and kill some stuff. But first I'm gonna have to weather quite a bit of shooting before I get there. And so let's take a look at some models. So you saw these panning shots at the start, but yeah, so these are the Frostclaw Riders. So these are some of the more recent Mantic miniatures, and they are fantastic. They kind of look like they're surfing on the top, but as I've had to think about it, and not much often do I think about how a dwarf might ride a raven, but I can't imagine he could actually straddle it and allow the raven to really do the thing, flying and flapping. So I feel like this is the only way that a dwarf could exist on top of a raven without annoying the raven. So this is the only way it's all going to work, is he's standing on there surfing and throwing his ice bombs that you can see in his hand at a range 3+, dear God. But it's a fantastic miniature, it looks really good, and yeah, I think it's quite popular. Just as a aside, it has lots of wings, but only 2 bodies. So if you want more extra wings for all kinds of things, it's got spare wings for you. Yeah, so here's those new painted pack hunters, lots of pack hunters with they've got bows, but yeah, these guys have all been modeled with javelins because they look pretty good, but yeah. And these, sorry, blurry action shot, but the half-elf berserker models, I didn't realize had these really rad cloaks, because when you look at the pictures online, you just see them from the front, and they look dynamic, they look cool, fine, but I'd never seen these awesome flowing, they really look like they're flowing in the blizzard wind or something like that. And so, yeah, like I said, it's very hard to not buy things when you see cool things like that. And it's just like, oh yeah, and here's the snow trolls. As much variation as can be given to these snow trolls, but they're definitely solid miniatures. I think they just look fine. They're pretty cool. Yeah, and more frost claws. So yeah, turn 1, here we go. And I get to go first, up I go. And yeah, like I said, I was just moving everything up. I'm on top of the hill, things can see over. Werewolves are ready to look from up high and all around. They can't really actually see much. They're the same height, the Revenant King and the Revenant Cavalry and the werewolves, but I like them being up high because then if these Revenant Cavalry charge off just to get out of the way, or they just move down a bit, then suddenly the werewolves have a complete view of the battlefield, and that's pretty terrifying with their speed and nimble. So yeah, I'm quite happy. With my deployment thus far, I haven't thought I've made any egregious errors. The only thing I'm doing here is I am wondering what the hell to do with my Lycanus, because over on this side on the right, there's not really any room for him to squeeze through and contribute to any combat. So I was like, I'm gonna move her over here to help out with the werewolves, because right now, Lycanus can't really do much where he is. He's over there, so I just kind of went boop and went 18 inches over here. So that's why my Lycanus is there. While the remainder of the zombies, yes, they're moving up through the forest, and I've put my flying worm into the forest so he can kind of peek out, look out, and have that potential for that big wild charge aura, because I don't actually need my standard bearer to sit there and give it to him. I just need the threat that he could, and he can do that with his 16-inch move. I could just be like, zip over. So that's the plan. I did receive, and then so Mike's turn, I did not take a picture of him actually moving his army, but I did receive some shooting. And so all of the shooting, lots and lots of shots, I eventually put 7 damage onto my wraiths, which was a bit rude, and took them off. Because yeah, once you get to 7 damage, it's that's putting them in the danger zone. So I've lost my chaff for my whites, and that's going to make just using them a little bit trickier because we've got some reasonably fast things in the Frost Claws, and the I think even the half-elf berserkers are reasonably fast. So I'm just like, okay, let's just got to be careful. Turn 2, and hopefully we will see. Yes, so now you can see where Mike's army's moved up. So let's do a post-analysis of how he got here. So you can see some of his range units to start with those. They moved up, and they were the ones that were peppering shots into my wraiths. So good on them. Defense 6, low nerve. That's really the thing. So the dash 12 is pretty easy to get through if you just put a bit of damage on, and then the rest of the army was just moving in. It was even ice bombs going in there. So, and the icy breath. It's just a combination of all kinds of attacks, and I would have hexed Krim if I could have, but he was behind the forest at the start, so I couldn't hex him to begin with. So he managed to get off that. It was all kinds of shots going in, so the poor wraiths took the fall for that, and maybe I shouldn't have put them in the front. And that's one thing, you shouldn't always put your stuff at the front. But anyways, the rest of his army had moved up, and now it's my turn. Let's say what I'm doing. Cool stuff is what I'm doing. So I've charged in 2 different ways to try and hold things up. So what he'd done, he'd moved forward and put his troll prime right in front there, to be like, well, you can't double charge my trolls. You can only double charge this troll prime, because he knew that I was outspeeding him. And so I was like, okay, I will double charge the troll prime, but to hold back the rest of the snow trolls, I'll send in my revenant cavalry. So revenant cavalry over here into the leftmost troll horde, and revenant cavalry here into the snow foxes to hold that up, which therefore holds up the trolls behind them. So hopefully that will pin that all down while I absolutely mince this troll prime with the undead great flying worm with his mace of crushing and the werewolves. Ironically, I didn't need the wild charge to do this, and this is also starting to make me think about this whole approach of trying to use that wild charge. Is like, once that first charge is gone, where you're just kind of doing that standoff, like, ooh, 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 and then it doesn't matter, because yeah, I got the charge irrespective of wild charge or not, and I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm in, because I was trying to toy with maybe the dragon will go into a troll, or maybe one of the werewolves will go into one troll. Each case didn't sound good, because it would just be like, oh, I did 5 damage, I did 9 damage, and I can't take them off. Then I'm getting hit back really hard, because they do hit quite hard, and maybe there'll be a way for them to, flank charge, or yeah. So anyway, the main thing was, it turned out this I thought was the best approach. So I've charged that. I moved my zombies up over here. One zombie's in forest, one zombie's out in the open. The one out in the open is getting shot with ice bombs, so not great. Maybe I should put them both in the forest, but there's only so much room. So yeah, I don't know, those just acting as a distraction for those frost claws. And then over here on the right, well, I'm just being very careful with the whole approaching. We've got the half-elf berserkers there, and we've got the frost claws, and we've got all the shooting, so I'm just like, yeah, just going slowly with the soul reavers. I don't want them to get shot up, and also trying to put my whites in range so they can charge some things but not get charged. So that's a very fine boundary when you're going against the speed 6 wild charge 1 troll prime, and the speed 6 wild charge 1 half-elf berserkers. There's all these things where you're just like, ooh, 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 and still, for my inability to charge, I am going to get shot. And while 7 damage will not take off the whites, I do not want to take 7 damage on my whites if I can avoid it. And so I managed to cast all kinds of spells. We've got weakness on those trolls. Should they, if I manage to kill those snow foxes, they can't, hopefully they'll then not be able to take out the revenant cavalry. And I managed to also, you can see there, hex on Trim, so he won't be doing a icy breath next turn if he wants to move, which he probably does. And so what we see here, first thing, I managed to kill that Snow Troll Prime. So he's gone, that's good. Rolled well, finally, and I just kept the dragon where he was and moved so that his front was going towards those trolls there, should they even be able to get in, and I moved the werewolves back. So I thought that would be the best move. But at that point I was like, oh, was that the best move? Have I accidentally put them into a bad position? We shall see. And so that was the end of that. Obviously, the Revenant Cavalry didn't do anything. Like they did a respectable amount of damage onto those trolls and to the Snow Foxes, but they didn't even kill the Snow Foxes. So never consider the Revenant Cavalry, which really are your chaff, capable of doing anything more than being chaff. And this is often a trap I fall into where I'm like, oh, but you know what? Thunderous Charge 2, you just forget it's 8 attacks on 4s. 8 attacks on 4s. 4 hits. What does that lead to? Maybe 2 or 3 damage. Is that going to do anything to the unit that you're thinking about? Probably not. You might not even kill like a character, like, you know, just a little wizard or something. So generally best to not think about their combat potential. And so that's what I'm starting to do these days. Not rushing out being like, haha, I got your flank. And then, I mean, a flank's still pretty good, but even then, sometimes it's not. Enough of my ramblings. Now it gets into his turn. So for, my plan has worked moderately well. So the Snow Foxes decided not to charge back. They just kind of shuffled sideways to further prevent the werewolves getting to those snow trolls there. And these snow trolls have countercharged into the Revenant Cavalry there. So those snow trolls cannot be charged by anything right now. Not the dragon and not the worm, I should say, or the werewolves. He's continuing to dance around with his Frost Claw Riders. They've been shooting at my zombies, done a bit more damage. You can see they're now on 10 damage, so they're not long for this world. Then over here on the right, well, it's pretty hectic. So we've got the Pack Hunters moving up even more so they can start shooting at things, and we have the Frost Claw Riders that have just gone from this hill to start helping out the Snow Trolls here, because you can see that they're kind of getting a bit beleaguered and stuck there. Now, the really exciting thing is ℂ𝕠𝕝𝕕. ℂ𝕠𝕝𝕕 has gone into the whites, and this is what he's built for. He's got Slayer, he's got really high crushing, so he's going to absolutely, potentially destroy them. But he is 8 attacks plus D6 plus the D6 Slayer, so it's the range of potential is something that Mike really doesn't like. He's just like, oh, here we go, what's gonna happen? So. Yeah, he was kind of just always muttering. It was like, oh, here him goes, you know, we'll just see what this big guy does. And yeah, so the zombies are taken out by the Frost Claws, just through their own shooting. The Revenant Cavalry are finally destroyed by the Snow Trolls there. So that Snow Troll horde is free and trying not to allow a double charge by angling itself so. And we have only a measly 7 damage onto the whites. And 7 damage, like I said before, actually isn't that bad on whites. Because yes, ℂ𝕠𝕝𝕕 decided to not really, you know, hit the bed, but he definitely was struggling. He rolled pretty low for his extra attacks, and then, you know, hitting on 4s, just, yeah, it's kind of not great. So yeah, he didn't absolutely obliterate them. I'm still going to be fine, and I'm going to hit him back. Turn 3. There's the point of getting around. And so, yeah, for some reason this picture's got a bit dark. But, yeah, counter-charging, obviously, with the whites, and we've got all kinds of charges. So we've got the werewolves going into the front. It's not ideal, but it's what was offered, into the front of those trolls. And there was not even a smidgen. And he was just lucky. There was not even a tiny corner that my dragon could get into. I'm like, oh, because I was like double charge, and he was just perfect. I was really flush in all directions. So, you know, it was like some UB, you know, universal battle magic. So yeah, he prevented that double charge, and so my dragon was like, well, I'm not staying here. And so I jumped over here to turn and face towards the Frost Claws and all those kinds of threats that are coming down there. So hopefully I'll get into some rears and flanks, because yeah, you do not want a dragon out the back there. And my zombies are continuing to hopefully hold this up, so they're just sitting in the forest, that one, and these ones are out in the open. My standard bearer is like, well, he's just trying to give a bit of inspiring, so they're not so easy to take out, but also just so he can hex some things. But ℂ𝕠𝕝𝕕 doesn't need to be hexed anymore. He's getting walloped by some whites. And then I have my Soul Reavers. They're starting to be shot, so you can see they've weathered some damage from the Pack Hunters, and so I'm just trying to get them into range of the Pack Hunters so I can actually start fighting them before they die. Because yeah, it's just a lot of shots that are relentlessly coming out. No piercing, but yeah, when it's 3 regiments of them, it's just like lots of shots. But also, I've got to be wary of the threats there, which is the Half-Elf Berserkers, a Snow Troll Prime, and a Frostclaw Champion. So those things I can just start walking up to them and start hitting them. And I don't want to get double charged by Pack Hunters either, because they still have, they're decent in melee, because they still have that melee 4+, so we'll see how we go. Oh, and yes, to really clear up those snow foxes because I just need to get rid of them, and I can't rely on these guys to do it. So the Revenant Cavalry have the Lycanus helping them out. So the Lycanus is in there. So I hope we can get rid of that chap and get into the next round of snow trolls. And so here I do a fantastic amount of damage, actually. I was quite happy. 11 damage onto the trolls with my werewolves, but I roll really poorly with the nerve and do not take them off, which is not great because you may observe that I managed to take out the snow foxes, but even with the snow foxes that weren't there, they probably would have been able to move in a way that would have allowed these guys to get in the flank, which is what's going to happen. They're going to go in the flank of my trolls, and even if I moved, say, Lycanus forwards, they would still be able to get the flank because that's what smart charges are all for. So I was like, oh no, not great at all. So yeah, so a great amount of damage. So the werewolves are still actually doing quite well. It's just, when it comes time for the nerve roll, I just seem to not be able to finish it off. So yeah, that's what we managed to do here. And I'm trying to tempt him into a flank charge into my Revenant Cavalry. Like, look, but he's smarter than this. He won't. Perhaps what I should have done is rolled forward. I should have rolled that d6 forward so I could have just stopped them. But no, I couldn't have because he put the Thane right behind it. So I would have just gone up and stopped there, which wouldn't have saved them. So yes, bloody Mike being smart. You know, this is it. That's what happens. So yeah, that's the situation that we're in. And I do manage to do 8 damage to him, so that's a good start. And yeah, a bit of life leech, so not bad. And now in his turn, yeah, we're weathering a lot of shooting. So 13 damage is being done to these Soul Reavers, and they're not enjoying their situation. So I'm going to have to get them into combat lest they die. And so yeah, in here, this is the rest of his turn. So I seem to just start with the shooting, and then like, oh yeah, I should take a picture. So yes, there you can see the beleaguered werewolves with a flank and a front of snow trolls. That's too many snow troll attacks. It's really not recommended. I think most doctors would recommend only a front attack of snow trolls, but a flank attack of snow trolls is definitely critical to your health. And I'm also getting attacked by, over here, the dragon's getting attacked by the Thane, just to ground me, the little bugger. He's 4 attacks, so it's all likelihood that he actually will. These guys, Soul Reavers, are getting charged by the Snow Troll Prime, who couldn't quite sit on the obstacle very well. But yeah, and Helmed continues to go into my whites. And yeah, the shooting, obviously, that's what caused that 13 damage. So yeah, not great. And the whites eventually do succumb to Helmed's abuse. He does take them down. So yeah, this time he rolled really well. I think I remember it was like, oh, here we go, now he's awake. So yeah, that's gone. And yeah, the werewolves obviously could not survive that. They just, yeah. So let's just say they're doing better. They're doing better, and now they're just failing because of me. It's me at the end. But I think I did better using them. And oh yeah, we can see there 1 damage was done on the dragon, so it is grounded, which is not great. Turn 4. So what will I do? So I need to hold up these trolls a bit. So I just send the zombies in just to stop them. Maybe I shouldn't have sent them in. Maybe I should have stopped them. But I just didn't want them going into flanks of Soul Reavers. So yeah, they're chaffing up. These zombies are staying in the forest, so hopefully they just don't die and can act as some unit strength. Soul Reavers are attacking back over here into the Snow Troll Prime, while the heavily damaged 13 damage on the Soul Reavers. This kind of sounds the same, I suppose. Soul Reavers go into the pack hunters that were shooting at them. They happened to be in the range, and so I just sent them off. And well, the good thing is they got the life leech too, and I've got some heals, so hopefully I can start getting them back, but it's going to be unlikely that I'll then be able to weather all the different charges that can happen afterwards, which is 2 rounds of pack hunters and champion and frost claw riders. So it's a lot of stuff that they then have to survive afterwards, and that's if they kill them. My Lycanus got out of the way because he's doing pretty good, and I do not want him to die, so now I'm trying to look at some other things I can charge, and like Hrim. And also I've sent in here, just to hold up him for a bit, I've sent in my Revenant King. You can see him there, little Revenant King. He's gone in to just to stop him, just hit him once so he can't keep going. So yeah, I'm trying to do what happened to my dragon, just stop the big guy. So yeah, it's getting hairy trying to stop all this and not killing as many things as I like. Lots of things have got a lot of damage, but I'm just not quite finishing them off like Hrim and the Snow Trolls. And so here, well, weakness, yeah, it's a sideways view, sorry. Seek weakness on the Frost Claws just to stop them when they want to charge. And here, dead Hrim. So, yeah, Mike's not very happy with this. So yeah, he's got, you may know, or you may not know, that the Revenant King has a humble 3 attack profile, merely 3+, crushing 1. So it's nothing to write home about, nothing particularly egregious. And so when you send him into combat, you just hope he will do a wound. But this guy did not do a wound, he did 3 hits, he did 3 damage. So he did 3 wounds on the Hrym, which put him up to 11 damage. And even then, 11 damage is not much to deter Hrym because he has a very high nerve. -19 or -20 or something like that. But then when you roll an 11, and then you roll a 10, that's enough. And I did. So the humble Revenant King slayed the giant, went up to him, poked him in the toe, which turned out to be attached to all kinds of important arteries and maybe caused an embolism or something. Yeah, something unnatural happened there, and the Revenant King came out victorious. So that was a very good moment for me and a frustrating moment for Mike. But hey, I just got to take my wins where I can, even when it comes to crazy dice magic. But then the rest of the turn was pretty much quite middling, you know, 5 damage here, ℒ𝕠𝕥𝕕 Prime from these guys. They should do a lot more damage than that. They're Bane chanted as well, and they just do 5 damage to ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕕 Prime, so that's not great. So yeah, not getting out of that. Did manage to do quite a bit of damage and wavered the these pack hunters, but I don't want to waver the pack hunters. I want to kill them so I can face all the other stuff. So unfortunately, these Soul Reavers are now consigned to the grave, finally, because these are vampires. They've been living far too long, and they're going to die. And I do a bit of damage with this, with the Revenant Cavalry, which is fine. Just yeah, 4 damage, whatever. So yeah, that's the situation we're in. These are the Revenant Cavalry that have survived ever since taking on those snow foxes. So they've gotten around, and they're doing pretty good. But yeah, and I did manage to do some damage and waver the ℒ𝕠𝕇, but I didn't kill the ℒ𝕠𝕇. So my dragon is still stuck here. And but at least he won't be taking any damage next turn and can fly off, hopefully. Hopefully, but in Mike's turn, well, you can see the ℒ𝕠𝕇 got out of the way, the Frostclaw Riders have gone in, they're weaknessed, so they probably won't do much, but they're just trying to hold up that dragon yet longer, because his army's not done yet trying to kill me, and he can't afford for a dragon to be going into any flanks, even if it is a melee 4+ dragon. And then we have the zombies getting taken off, we've got the Frostclaw Rider into the flank and the trolls in the front. The trolls just didn't do very good against the zombies, so it needs to well, no, the zombies didn't do very good against the trolls. Now it's time to fight back and really get rid of them quickly. We've got all kinds of flank attacks going. So yeah, these Soul Reaver infantry are flanked by some pack hunters. These Soul Reaver infantry are flanked by the Frostclaw champion. And I'm getting double charged here with the Revenant Cavalry by some, I think somewhere in there are the ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕠𝕠's House Guard, the Berserkers. There's the Berserkers and there's the pack hunters. So yeah, the Revenant Cavalry may no longer be standing soon. And so yes, the zombies are taken off, no great surprise there. But only 10 damage here on the Soul Reavers, so they can continue weathering that and get healed up and chop their way back to full health, hopefully. And yeah, he was very surprised. The Revenant Cavalry completely survived. They didn't, yeah, so it's not a very good outing for the ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕠's House Guard for the first time. They just couldn't get through that. And just 3 damage here on my Great Undead Flying Worm, because yes, they have the weakness, so that would definitely worth it. So just things moving around. Blurry action shot, because I was just so shocked that that a flank attack would kill my Soul Reavers that are already on 11 damage. Whoa, that's so surprising. No, it's not. So yes, of course they died. So there we go. Turn 5. So turn 5, the game is Invade, so I do need to get over there, but first, to get over there, I probably need to kill some of his stuff so I can stay there. And so the fight continues. It's a whole bunch of countercharges, but it's just where I'm countercharging that's important. So these Soul Reavers are countercharging the Frostclaw champion, because I think I can take him out, because the Lycanus is in the rear of the ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕠 Prime, which is already damaged. So hopefully those two things combined will mean happy Soul Reaver infantry. The Revenant Cavalry will just continue chipping away since they lived so happily, but really that's all that's left there is these units. My zombies, they did go into the Frostclaw champion to hopefully take it down a peg, but that's really all I've got, and I'm hoping here also that the army standard bearer will be able to take out these Frostclaw Riders just by going into them, but yeah, probably not. But you know, the Revenant King could do it, so why not him? And I'm just trying to get out of the wet paper bag that is the Frostclaw Riders into my dragon, who had such high hopes, such high hopes. But I did do a damage and disorder them, so that's kind of cool. So they're not going to be doing any terrible things. And over here I did do 6 damage. I went crazy with my zombies, so yeah, that and got wavered it. So the zombies are continuing over there. Good work, guys. And 5 damage on these guys, which is perfectly exactly what they're calculated to do. The flying worm with a mace of crushing. So that's pretty good, but didn't get rid of it. And here, I think that was me doing a mind fog, so I managed to waver them. So this is where the mind fog is actually coming in handy, where I can just be like, ooh, that's damaged. Wavered. Ooh, maybe take it off. So the mind fog, very good at the start of the game to maybe just get rid of that chaff that might be out of inspiring, and very good at the end of the game when everything's a bit hurt. And here, well, I did do a monumental amount of damage into that Frostclaw Rider, but I rolled a double 1s. So I am stuck there, and I really need to get those guys out of my flank. But you can see there's more birds coming in, so that's not great. But yes, I got rid of this. I managed to do quite a bit of damage to the 𝕒𝕠𝕝𝕕, and I don't think what does that mean? I don't think I took it off. No, I think he still lived. I just rolled poorly. That seems to be a theme. And so here in a note where, again, it went dark for some reason. But yeah, my Soul Reaver infantry now, thanks to their double 1, are getting a rear charge from these Frostclaw Riders. They are disordered, but you know, they're still going to be they're going to be capable of some stuff. They're getting the Frostclaw Champion in the front, and they're getting the 𝕒𝕠𝕝𝕕 in the flank. I don't even think the 𝕒𝕠𝕝𝕕 decided to even contribute, because it's like, whatever, these guys are damaged so much, I'm just going to go into the ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕥𝕪, turn around and face it. So, but the Revenant Cavalry is still surviving, and now all my other things are getting charged. So this is where Mike Crossman finishes the deal. And so attacking back, my ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕥𝕪 is doing, I think he's, actually I think that this is signifying that he did terribly, because that's the wounds for the Snow Troll, and that's the wounds for the Revenant Cavalry. So I don't think ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕥𝕪 was really had anything done to him. And then over here, yeah, they got through the zombies, no problem. A little bit of damage onto my Revenant King, but the Flying Worm is definitely going to be able to hopefully get out of that and kill some unit strength. And yeah, that's not 8 damage. No, oh no, I think they rolled absolutely poorly and didn't kill my Soul Reaver infantry. So yeah, but they were disordered, so they didn't have their Thunderous Charge anymore. And he couldn't even kill my my Necromancer. So I think overall, oh, did he? No, yeah, he didn't kill my Necromancer, just he fell over trying to get on top of the hill. So yeah, it was a pretty dismal performance in terms of all these things were definitely dying, but all that died was the zombies. So turn 6. So actually, yeah, turn 6 is this picture, and I was put in the wrong spot. So got to apologize, but you're going to see turn 6 logo a few times. But here we go. We have my standard bearer. Maybe you can do 1 damage, take off the Frostclaw Champion. Maybe I can kill these Frostclaw Riders with my dragon. So you know, that'd be taking off some unit strength, and I've got some unit strength over here. But really, the Soul Reavers need to just kind of somehow do some whirlwind attack and take out everything around them. But that's very unlikely. And the Revenant Cavalry just still managed to stick around. So yes, I told you, yeah. And so I do manage, I kill the Frostclaw Riders that were there, and then turn around to face the Frostclaw Champion that I need to also kill, even though there's trolls here. So I was like, I don't know what I'm trying to do. And the ℒ𝕠𝕠𝕥𝕪 has killed the Snow Troll Prime, so that's some unit strength down. I'm doing pretty good. And there, just trying to, and yeah, I was hoping that I would be able to take out this. Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, so I'd thrown in my Revenant King to take out the Frostclaw Champion, but unfortunately, he just didn't do what he did last time and kill him. He couldn't even, with 12 damage on this Frostclaw Champion, he just couldn't do a damage, and so I couldn't take him off and then have the Soul Reavers face the correct way, which would be, well, there isn't a correct way, because you see here, we've got the Berserker infantry that have on 25 attacks and going crazy, or we have Snow Trolls, so it's just rocking a hard place. So there's not really a good choice there. But my plans were definitely not coming to fruition, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take out that. So yeah, in his turn, he flies off here. Frostclaw Champion, designed to add to his unit strength. I did manage to kill the Frostclaw Riders, but Thane's coming back in. He's like, no, you are not gonna get out of here. And so holding me back, while the rest of the army goes across the invasion line to secure the victory. Well, and that was what it was. There's the victory. So yeah, not bad considering I don't tend to do great, but I'm really trying hard to think more and more about how I use my units and deploy them. And yeah, the Soul Reaver infantry definitely weren't used as well as they could be, but their chaff did get out of the way very quickly, leaving them unchaffed. because they were trying to chaff for my werewolves. And that wasn't good for the Soul Reaver infantry because they really do need some chaff. They need something to protect them from the shooting, they need something to go in first so that they can go afterwards. So perhaps what I need is just more chaff units in my army if I want to run this many hammers. And so that is also the thing. Do I have too many hammers? I've got 2 Soul Reaver infantry regiments, 1 horde of wights, and 1 horde of werewolves, and the dragon. That's probably too many hammer-like units. Something needs to go so that I can either get in more chaff, get in more things. I'm thinking maybe a horde of revenants would be a cool thing to add, or more skeletons, something like that, or just more zombies, maybe the formation or something. So what do you think, and undead experts, if you're listening? Do you think I should tone down the number of hammers and try and fill it up with some more things? I've heard good things about snow trolls. Again, see, I just by default say snow trolls, about zombie trolls. The Asian Masters, the Clash of Kings, not Masters, the Clash of Kings Asia, the winner of that, he was using to great effect zombie trolls and regiments of wraiths, which I've also not considered. So, you know, maybe I need to upgrade my wraiths from the troops to regiments, things like that. So, yeah, let me know. But I'm not rushing out to get the regiments of wraiths because they're surprisingly expensive, actually, for the models. You just get 10, but they're like 35 USD, and I'm like, oh, that's not great. It's not Games Workshop expensive, but it's not cheap. So having to get enough for multiple regiments, because they only come in 10, so I need to get quite a few to make my regiments. Yeah, just kind of a little bit sting, but you know, I'll get them eventually as I expand these armies, but I do have lots of armies to expand, and they're all trying to expand in different directions. So let me know what I did wrong, what I should have done better, and maybe any adjustments I should make to my list. And if you've got any ideas for Mike about his army, I'm sure he would like to know too, especially how to use Talonar's House Guard, how to use the super berserkers to good effect. That's what he's wondering. But otherwise, keep caffeinated, and I'll see you next time.